This is my screencast rework. I'm going to start on semiotics. Semiotics is the relationship between what something is and how the audience interprets it. This is also known as the denotation, what it is, and the connotation, the meaning of whatever you're talking about. The audience or a person will learn the connotation and denotation because they have been told or taught this. An example is a poppy. To the British, a poppy represents Remembrance Day, the connotation, although it is just a red flower, which is the denotation. We know this represents Remembrance Day because we've been taught this, although in another country where they may not have been taught this, they would understand the poppy by its denotation, which is just a red flower. By this I mean that we are taught the denotations of which things are, and that we associate them with the given text. Such as going back to my example from World of Warcraft, when you first start the game, you're told that the exclamation marks represent a quest, so then further on in the game, you always relate the exclamation mark with the quest. Moving on to genre. Game genres have very similar codes and conventions because it makes people understand what the type of game it is going to be. For an example, shooting games try and copy each other from the first thing you see, which is the box art. For example, all of the examples below are the first-person shooters, and also the third in the series. They keep the art similar because having a relatable character from the game on the front cover can make the player relate to the character, and the audience will remember the character from the game, and it also means that they themselves know who the character is going to be. Continued. A lot of game genres are stuck in a rut because games such as Call of Duty are taking over the first person genre, and other games are similar at the top of their genre, and games within the genre will try and copy what's at the top. For example, in a shooting game it's Call of Duty. One thing that is changing about the first person shooter genre though is that people are realising that people value a storyline. The first person shooting games such as Quake had very bad storylines, and the game couldn't handle lots of voices, so they were not included in these. As the genre has progressed though, they've started implementing long and in-depth storylines to these games, so they can include the characters that the audience can relate to, and then they can put them on the front of the box art so that people recognise their brand. In the RPG genre though, they're moving away from linear style games that just go from level to level and are moving to free open worlds. This is because the audience that plays RPG games can get more immersed in the games if they can choose the direction the character takes. Moving on to narrative. The narrative of a game strongly depends on the genre. RPG games such as Skyrim use non-linear storylines because it means that the player can get more in depth with the character because they have more places to go. RPG games are also known for having branching narratives because branching narratives make the game feel more real, and the player can get more immersed in the game if they have an outcome from the actions that they take, which is different to how it could have happened. Vladimir Propst's theory of the hero, the villain, the donor, the dispatcher, the false hero, the helper, the princess, and the princess's father is still used in games today, but mainly for games that are based around having a hero character. The RPG genre usually has a hero character and a princess to save, so it fits into Propst's theory, but other games such as first-person shooters do not, since in big games such as Call of Duty you may play as more than one character. So even though you are a hero in the game, you're not a single character who will take the role, and Propst's theory revolves around a single hero character. Narrative continued. Todor's theory of equilibrium, however, is still widely used in game text because it gives us game structure because it breaks the game text down into a start, middle and end. As an example, the shooting game genre fits nicely into Todor's theory because they can be broken down into the equilibrium, such as for a generic shooter, which is stated below. A state of equilibrium, the backstory of a game, such as who the character you're playing is and where it came from. A disruption of the equilibrium, normally in a first-person shooter, a war would break out somewhere in the world or in a made-up place. A recognition of the disruption, your character is then briefed on who the bad guy is, and you are told it is your job to stop them. An attempt to restore equilibrium, you'll play through the levels of the game until you find the bad guy, and it would usually result in killing or arresting him, basically just stopping him. And finally, after you've stopped the bad guy, the equilibrium is restored. Moving on to representation. Representation in media is how we portray ourselves compared to how the media portrays people similar to us, or how the people we look up to. In game text, the representation of males is usually the hero, since most heroes in games are heroes, and it makes the audience relate to the character, as a lot of people who play games are male. The character in game text are sometimes beings that the audience looks up to, as well as celebrities, as the audience wants to be as popular as the character or a celebrity. Certain groups or people are left out from media text because most of the time these people or groups will cause controversy. As an example, the Medal of Honor game tried to call one of the groups in the game the Talibans, and you'll be able to play them in the game, and this caused controversy because killing the good guys is bad, and if the game rewards you for killing people as a Taliban, it would give off the wrong message. And this was my rework.